All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, July 21st. We got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like in the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment of this video for all of my final plays. So I'm actually rolling with myself. If you do want to fade me, those plays are going to be listed out in the pinned comment. In terms of last night, we go 2-2. I guess, two of the better odds plays that we had, but the Padres first 5 money line, that cashes for us, and that Brewers Twins over 7.5 cashes for us as well. It did go to extras, but luckily enough to cash there. I think there's like 7 runs scored in extra innings, so we'll take it. The Phillies money line and then Phillies first 5. We were on the Phillies yesterday, and look what happened, right? They didn't have their best game, so we lose both of those. But nonetheless, guys, if you've been following July and watching in July, a 2-2 night is the least of our concerns. We've been red hot. Hopefully, we keep that going. This isn't anything that'll kill us, but obviously a little bit in the red just when it comes to paying a little bit of the juice. We didn't have a ride of the day yesterday. We just got super carried away with the day. So let's get back to it today. Use the hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger, your favorite play for the day. And whichever ride of the day comment, you got to use that hashtag. Whichever comment gets the most likes in the comments, we will be jumping on board with and riding with, and you get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we keep riding with your plays. If you lose, you got to face the music, got to face the womp womp. So make sure to get those hashtag ride of the days in there, and then go scroll in the comments and see what you guys like. Like the comments that you think are good plays. Someone found a good spot, a good look, that type of thing. Like those comments up. But all right, let's go ahead and jump into this. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're still cruising. 2-2 night ain't gonna stop us. I think we're now on a 42-17 run in July. That's absurd to me. So let's go ahead and jump into game number 1. One of our wins yesterday, but again, it took extra innings. Minnesota taking on Milwaukee. On the bump for Minnesota today is going to be Joe Ryan. Obviously having a really good year. He's had a couple, I would say, yeah, maybe a couple you could consider rocky starts in a row. Maybe 3 of his last 5 you wouldn't necessarily want to peg. He did pitch against Milwaukee. I think it was last year, pitched really well, so whatever that's worth. Going up against Aaron Savale here, who has also been a hit-or-miss guy. I've loved to bet on Savale. I feel like we can sense his spots pretty well, which is good, even dating back to Chicago days. So, to me, I feel like this is a spot in which Minnesota, just by the numbers, should be able to get to him. He's going to throw cutter, sinker, slider as his main pitches. The slider and the sinker, top 10 pitches Minnesota likes to see. The cutter, middle of the pack. I do think that, they have, Minnesota here has the better offense, even though they, end up scoring, 4 runs yesterday and lose that game. They have kind of been a little bit knocking on the door, we'll say, of scoring a bunch of runs. So I think that after an extra innings loss yesterday, they're able to bounce back more than Milwaukee kind of continues that momentum. So I'll lean towards where I think the team that has the better pitcher and the better bats here. Bullpen-wise, both these teams obviously have very good bullpens. After an extra innings game, you're going to see both teams sort of, I don't want to say using everybody in the in there because, let's see, we just had it up in front here. Milwaukee used, 6 guys in the bullpen yesterday, so that's definitely worth noting. Then Minnesota, let's see, we got to fill. They use, I think, the same. These either 6 or 5 guys, right? But what we got to consider is that these dudes didn't play baseball for days before. They, this is they had their break, so I'm not necessarily too concerned with that. So both bullpens are pretty good. I'm also going to lean towards the under. I think after extra innings, we're probably looking at like a 5-3 game maximum win for Minnesota. So I like the under. That's kind of why we were looking into the bullpens there. I don't think 7 runs get scored late again. We had the over yesterday. Lucky enough to cash. Today I think we see an under, but Minnesota 4-3 or 5-2 or 5-3 even, a push of a total win today. Yanks taking on the Rays. We've had 2 one-sided affairs 2 days ago. Tampa Bay, or Yankees win 6-1, right? And then Nestor Cortez yesterday, supposed to be the prize child at home. Everyone on Twitter saying he's an absolute lock and all that. He goes 4 1/3. They lose 9-1. So not necessarily his best. I think he had like 5 or 6 earned runs there. So they've split the series so far, and they've been one-sided affairs. Today we have Marcus Stroman on the mound going up against Shane Baz here, or Bays, however you want to say it. He only has a couple starts on the season, both of which have been pretty mediocre against Texas, and then he did pitch against the Yankees a few days back, like 10 days ago. 4 1/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 Ks, 1 walk, but 2 home runs. I just have to trust that the Yankees offense bounces back from what they did, yesterday. They scored 1 run. The game before, they had scored 6. They went into the All-Star break scoring 4, 4, 6, 5, and 5. Like, that would be enough to beat this Tampa Bay team, I think, because I don't think that they totally get to Stroman here. Am I saying Stroman's going to go out there and pitch an absolute gem? Not necessarily, but in 60 plate appearances against, he has an X batting average against of 270, WOBA 320, so it's like kind of right in the middle there of, if he just pitches solidly, I actually trust the bats here to go off. And the one thing I told you in yesterday's video, I didn't lean Rays, right? But the Rays have been crushing lefties. Nestor Cortez, southpaw. Marcus Stroman is a righty. So I think that this could be a decent spot for him to at least give you kind of a middle ground game, which obviously he's had his big times up and down the season. He is coming off of a good start, in which I think he went like 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run. A lot of guys on base, though, and it was against this Rays team. So if he goes out and does that, I think the Yankees can win this one. In terms of a total, I'll have to lean towards the over. I think the Yankees score runs. Like I said, this whole time, I think the Yankees offense bounces back from scoring 1 run. And Stroman, I haven't even, spoke highly of. It's just I think he'll have an average day. So got to lean towards the over there. It just correlates too well. And one player prop that I'm considering too is going to be Jose Siri here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. It's minus 145 on MGM, minus 160 on DraftKings as of right now. So, that may be priced out, but I do like the spot here. He's done it in 2 straight games here in this series. He's 0 for 5 in his career against Stroman. Against right-handed batters on the season, he's batting 192. And then Stroman against right-handed batters, batting average against drops from 237 down to 231. So I think this could be a good spot for potential nice little play there for Jose Siri, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And speaking of player props, guys, you need to go ahead and check out Sleeper. I talk to you guys about Sleeper all the time. My favorite player prop app out there. They have so many discounts going on right now. Let me talk about a couple. So right now they have Seth Lugo and Cutter Crawford. Both of their strikeout lines are dropped to 0.5. And then in the app, I'll pull it up right here live for you guys. You'll see that they have multiple discounts. They have a Juan Soto, right? His total bases is knocked down to 0.5. They have a Ronel Blanco. His strikeouts line knocked down to 4.5 right there. And then one more, Joe Ryan, his strikeout line down to 4.5. So you have 2 free squares if you sign up today and 3 discounted squares on the app. I guess these technically aren't free. You'd need Seth Lugo to get a strikeout and Cutter Crawford to get a strikeout, but hopefully they can handle that one, right? But I have a link in the pinned comment, guys. It's going to get you all those discounts, and it's going to get your first deposit matched. If Sleeper's available in your state and you're not on it yet, then you're missing out on the player prop app that has more plays. They have alternate lines. When you see plays online and say, hey, head over to this app and all this, and all of a sudden it's been removed or it's not there, Sleeper doesn't even do that. So go check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. And again, you don't even need a code. If you want to use code GUYBOSTON, that can help you too, but the link's going to auto-apply all that. You'll get all these discounted squares and free squares. Go check it out. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of the slate. Atlanta taking on St. Louis. You got Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound for Atlanta, going up against Miles Michaelis here. This is one in which I feel like everything's pointing towards taking Atlanta, but we just haven't seen much. Even their win in, it was a game 1 that they won yesterday. They won 3-2, right? And then they lose 9-5. It's like, even when their offense kind of kicks in and they score 5 runs, Atlanta's had some struggles, right? Now, they've won 6 of the last 10, so I don't want to take too much away from them, but both of these teams kind of in a similar situation, in all honesty. So I think my first lean here was actually to consider the Nerfy, which I'll explain why. Miles Michaelis, decent in the first inning, right? Then you kind of get to know him and you get to see him. Spencer Schwellenbach, kind of in the same boat here, so I do think that both these teams have 3 outs in them, and then all of a sudden things can get going. But in terms of where I'd lean money line wise, like I said, everything pointed towards Atlanta in theory, but we're not talking theory here, we're talking numbers. And St. Louis, honestly, a better offense over the last 30 days, just as decent bullpen as Atlanta. And then Miles Michaelis on the road this season's been pretty decent, so I'm going to lean towards St. Louis here on the money line just to be able to get that plus money. That's plus 130 right now over on FanDuel. Do I make it a final play? We'll see how big my cojones are, but that is going to be where I lean. I just can't justify a minus 142 to minus 150 play on Atlanta right now, even though I initially came into this thinking, all right, what's the path for Atlanta? Kind of flipped on my own self here. In terms of the total, I like the under 8.5. Like I said, both these offenses don't scare me. The fact that I'm saying St. Louis's offense is better than Atlanta's says a lot here. I'm going to lean towards the under, but I like the Nerfy more than the under. I do think that's the case. All right, we got Washington taking on Cincinnati. Jake Irvin on the mound here, which is obviously pretty important to call out when looking at Washington games. He's had a pretty good year. Two bad starts in a row, though, that are definitely tanking some numbers, I would say. But he's going up against Andrew Abbott, who was pitching really well and then had sort of a yikes performance against Miami. 3 1/3, 5 earned runs, 7 hits, 2 homers, 2 walks, averaged nearly 25 pitches per inning. Not his best, right? He's also not been all that great on the road. So while I maintain the idea that I think, Cincinnati probably has the better offense in this spot, I'm going to trust what I would deem the better pitcher here, Jake Irvin, to be able to go out there and at least get the job done to some degree. He's also, decent against righties. There are some decent, bats in this lineup for Cincinnati that are righties. So, you got India, you got Steer. Irvin's a righty, so guys will be lefty against him if they're switch hitters. But plenty of guys that, you could say, okay, you know what? Maybe you get those guys out. Those are key outs in the Cincy lineup. But either way, this is probably, I can be transparent with you guys, right? Probably not one that makes the final ticket. I think that I'm going to trust Jake Irvin in this one. Washington, in middle of the road bullpen as well. But maybe if you really wanted to play this, target Irvin versus Abbott and just go first 5. Even though Washington's bullpen is okay, Cincinnati's bullpen on the season actually has some decent numbers. In terms of the total here, it's sitting at 9 right now. I was kind of shocked to see that number there, so I guess immediately I lean towards the under. I think this is like a 5-3, 4-3 type of a ball game overall. All right, Pittsburgh taking on Philadelphia yesterday. Obviously, one of our losses there. We had Phillies first 5, and we had Phillies money line. We split the unit there. They tied, actually, the first 5. No, we had them first 5 minus 0.5, right? So that's why. In fact, let me check that. Confirmed, we had them first 5 run line, which is what I thought. But anyways, so we lose that first 5. Then they obviously lose the full game there. So I was kind of shocked at that one. I thought we had, a pitching advantage with Chris Sanchez going up against Ortiz. Ortiz pitched 7 innings, so good for him. In this one, it could be a little bit different pitching-wise. You have Marco Gonzalez on the bump for Pittsburgh going up against Tyler Phillips here for Philadelphia, who Phillips, obviously, I wouldn't necessarily say is your typical, put him in the rotation guy, but he started... We had one start on the season, right? He's only pitched in a couple games. Young guy, I think he's 25, 26, so that kind of scares me. But what I will say is I think him being on the mound really helps the Philadelphia odds here. They've lost 3 straight games. They could have, won these. So I'm going to lean towards the Phillies. The one angle to if you're a Pittsburgh fan right now, you'd say, well, the Phillies lefty against lefties, okay, not tremendous, but not terrible, right? Pirates against righties actually coming around, and they've won 8 straight games or something. So there are definitely, I think it might be 8 of their last 9, so 6 straight games, something like that. But there's angles to be made here to try and get to the Pittsburgh side of things for plus money. To me, I don't necessarily see this being a sweep. So I'm gonna take the Phillies in this spot, minus 135 money line. I'm gonna trust it. I'm gonna hope that Tyler Phillips can do his job and that the bats kind of continue or the bats kind of rise to the occasion better than they did yesterday. Not continue, do way, way, way better than they did yesterday. Marco Gonzalez against the Phillies here, 71 plate appearances in his career against the guys in the current roster. Again, just to clarify, when I say against the Phillies, it's really the players on the team. So Bryce Harper, was on a different team. If he faced Marco Gonzalez when he was a National, his numbers are going to still count here. So it's against the guys on the roster. 71 plate appearances, only a 15% K rate, 10% walk rate, average against of 281, but an expected batting average against of 300, and then an X slugging of 482. I think they could get to him today. So give me the Phillies. In terms of the total, I'll look at the Phillies team total over. I don't really want to go full game because Tyler Phillips is kind of a wild card here in this spot too, right? So I'll go full game team total over for the Phillies, but I don't necessarily want to mess with what the Pirates are going to do. What if Phillips shuts them down, that'd be crazy, but I could also see him letting a bunch of runs to them as a young pitcher. So I don't really want to kind of mess with that. So I'm going to lean towards Phillies team total over. All right, Toronto taking on Detroit. We almost pulled the trigger on Toronto yesterday. I'm glad we didn't overall, just because obviously they end up losing the game. Today could be a different story. You have Kevin Gausman on the mound going up against Keter Montero. Both these guys, so Gausman hasn't been great this season, but hasn't been great at home specifically. Montero's been really bad on the road. It's going to come down to which offense is better, and Detroit's offense has been better. I'll say that, but Gausman throws a bunch of fastballs. Now, keep in mind, I had this mindset yesterday and it didn't really work out, right? But Gausman throws a bunch of fastballs. Detroit does not hit fastballs very well. And in fact, I want to say Kikichi pitched well until, the the 6th inning type of thing. So I guess in theory, my thoughts were correct. It's just Detroit got to him. But Gausman, if he's going to throw that and he's going to throw his fastball again, Detroit really, really struggles against that. He even goes to the splitter next. That's his second pitch. And Detroit's bottom 10 in the league hitting that. So I think today could be the day that Toronto pulls one out here and avoids the sweep. So I'm going to lean towards Toronto on the money line. They're super juiced, though, which is tough to consider because, again, you're looking at an offense that is just not as good as Detroit now. Detroit, their offense is on fire, okay? Toronto just should be a good spot for them overall. So I'll lean towards them, but that juice is making it tough. And the fact that they're facing an offense that is absolutely on a heater right now makes it a little bit tough, too. If you like Detroit for plus 140, makes sense to me. You know what I mean? I just can't get there today. In terms of the total, it's sitting at 8 right now. I would like this if it was 7.5. I could see like a 5-2 game, like one of these offenses or one of these pitchers kind of either pitching well or the other one pitching bad. I'd still lean towards the over. There's push potential with 8 there, but give me a 5-4 win for Toronto and I'd be happy because I like to see Detroit scoring runs. They have a good pitching staff, multiple great pitchers there. And if their offense turns around, this is a really good team. So I like to see that. So 5-4, close game, that type of thing, I could get down with that. In one player prop here, it's a little weird, but he's hit in 65% of games this season at home, 63% at home against righty, 64%. It's going to be Justin Turner under 0.5 walks. This is Kaderi Montana, right? On the road this season, he has a 3.7 walk rate, so he does not walk many guys on the road. And Justin Turner has not been walking much as of late, so keep that eye good. Watch the ball, swing at it if it's in play, anything like that. I like him under 0.5 walks. You're paying minus 140 over on MGM right now, but I think that actually is sort of a well-worth priced pick. So I like his, even though it's a non-sexy play. It's the type of one you don't even want to watch because it's like the minute he walks, it's like, oh my God. But under 0.5 walks is a player prop I like. All right, Cleveland taking on San Diego. I almost chuckle as we talk about it because both games have been 7-0 so far, and it's like, what are the odds of that happening there? Today on the mound, though, for Cleveland is going to be Ben Lively. He's been really good at home. Has had some struggles on the road, but why worry about that now, right? He is at home. Going up against Michael King, who I don't necessarily want to say has been good. He hasn't been bad. He maybe struggles a little bit on the road, but he definitely is on fire right now, okay? He has 3 straight starts of 1 earned run each. He's gone into the 6th inning in all of those starts, so good for him. He's gone up against Boston, Seattle, Texas. Obviously, there's a couple good lineups in there, it's only 3 lineups, so I guess it can't be a couple of both. But either way, he's had his fair share of good lineups that he shut down. So I'll give him a little bit of credit here. Against this Cleveland team, though, I'm waiting for this Cleveland offense to kind of turn it around and all of a sudden be like, yeah, we're here again because they're starting to fall. But today, I'm going to trust Ben Lively. I'm going to trust the Cleveland bullpen as well and trust the fact that they're not going to score 0 runs. We've seen 2 7-0 games here. That seems just a little bit out of left field, no pun intended, to me. So I'm going to lean towards Cleveland here in this spot, trust both Lively and the bullpen, and then hope that the bats kind of get it going. In terms of what I'd like for a total here, I almost want to go Cleveland team total over. I think a lot of people are thinking that Michael King's pitching so well that they might fade the Guardians bats that seem to be fading. So I think the Guardians can put up some runs today at home. Last game in the series, that type of thing. So I'm going to lean towards their team total over. I don't know if I end up making that play overall, but it's kind of where my head is at as of right now. All right, Miami taking on the Mets. The Mets, something's weird here. They lose that game. Number 1 was at 6-5, 6-4, something like that. And they win yesterday 1-0. This Mets team, I think they scored in like the 3rd or 4th too, so they went scoreless for the rest of the game and just had to hold on. And today they have decent odds again. You have Christian Scott on the mound up against, Trevor Rogers. I can't see a reason in which we wouldn't back the Mets here for this price as well. You can see in our dashboard, which, by the way, if you want access to this dashboard, it's just $2.99 per month. We put a lot of work into this. It's for channel members only, so you get other perks being a channel member as well. You're not directly getting this dashboard. You'll get every dashboard we have and every model we have. And we have a 7-part model making series teaching you how to do that. If you have an internet connection, you can make a sports betting model. $2.99 a month to join as a channel member. But anyways, Christian Scott, a lot more green on his board, right? Yankees offense, a lot more green over there. He's going to throw fastball. Trevor Rogers, this is. The Mets, second best in the last 30 days in terms of runs above average against fastballs. The sinker, okay, top half in the league. The slider, okay, top 10. The changeup, top 8. I don't see how this Mets team does not get to Trevor Rogers here. So I have to lean towards the Mets. But again, these odds are just smelling a little fishy, aren't they? But going to stick with that. In terms of a total, I think I'm going to lean towards the under. I do think that, the Marlins, again, don't have the easiest time scoring like yesterday. Like, that game was theirs for the taking, and they couldn't do it, So maybe this is a move in which I go team total under for the Marlins, but that's tough because I'm not really trying to sit here and, pump up Christian Scott by any means. So it's tough to take a team total under solely by fading the offense, not on the back of the pitcher. So we'll see where we go with that. But I like the full game under, I guess. But I'd probably go Marlins team total under first because I think that's how the Mets win this one, by the Marlins not scoring a bunch of runs. Because I haven't seen amazing stuff out of the Mets yet. But they can go up there and score 5, 6 runs, 10 runs, all I care. If we have Miami team total under, we don't need to worry about, the over breaking. All right, KC taking on the White Sox. Here we got Lugo on the mound going up against Drew Thorpe. Not all that concerned about this spot here, so I'm going to lean towards Kansas City. But like I've told you guys kind of over and over again in this series, I think this is going to be some sort of a money line throw-in or something like that. 7-1 win for them in game number 1. 6-1 win yesterday. Like, I don't think that this is a spot to worry about Seth Lugo either, whether it's him against the White Sox in the past or just him in general. He's having a decent year, so I'll lean towards Lugo. Even though he's had some rocky starts lately, I still think that this is such a bad lineup for the White Sox that Lugo should be able to bounce back. Leads me to a total of probably also White Sox under team total as well. All right, Chicago taking on Arizona is, I would say, a tricky one here. We have Shota Imanaga on the mound for Arizona, going up against Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona. Chicago is favored in this one. They haven't looked all that tremendous in the series so far. 5-2 loss in game 1, 3-0 loss in game number 2. And let's keep in mind, like, I'm thinking Shota Imanaga, is a good pitcher, right? Justin Steele, arguably the best pitcher on the Cubs, pitched in game number 1, and Arizona still won that game. So this is a tough one. I think for the money right now, I don't necessarily hate the idea of backing the Diamondbacks again because you're getting plus money, but in reality, what I'll actually lean towards is Chicago because I think they avoid, a 3-0 sweep here, and they do have the better pitcher on the mound, and, like, at some point, like, going into the All-Star break, this team was scoring runs just prior to 5-9, 4-8, 5-3, 4-8, right? Out of the All-Star break, you can argue all their momentum was cut and whatever, right? But 2-0, they should be knocking on the door of scoring some more runs. And Brandon Pfaadt here is not necessarily a guy that I want to sit and say he's going to shut down this Chicago team. He's had some good numbers against them, don't get me wrong. But overall, I think that the Cubs should be able to at least tack on a few. And though I hate to say this, he was on such a heater, Brandon Pfaadt, right? Heading into the All-Star break, and he getting 3 starts, he had 2 combined earned runs in his last 3. He didn't need a break. Do you know what I mean? Like, he needed that heater to continue. So I could see this being a spot in which he accidentally, lets up a couple hanging or anything like he's due for a little regression, if you ask me, which you're watching this video, you're asking me. But Q, when all of a sudden, we're looking at it and Brandon Pfaadt has 82 runs, right? So 82, the 82 scoreless innings, extra innings. That even makes sense? All right, let's keep it going here. We got the total, 7.5. Like I said, I think the Cubs score some runs today. I think they're knocking on the door. I might just look at Cubs team total over instead of the whole total because I do trust Shota Imanaga here, but the Cubs offense has been good, so I could just lean towards the full game over as well. So both those seem viable to me. To me, though, I'd rather trust the Cubs, but the Diamondbacks have been like the more trustworthy team, right? So kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth here. All right, Texas, Baltimore. Baltimore bounces back. Yes, or not bounces back. They continue to hit the ball well. 9 runs in game number 1, 8 in game number 2. Scherzer only went 2 or 3 innings, whatever it was. In this spot, we have Dean Kramer on the mound for Baltimore up against Andrew Heaney here of Texas. To me, the odds, kind of make this a Baltimore spot. They've won 3 straight games. Yes, they were losing a bunch before that, but for plus 100 odds here, I feel like I can't ignore Baltimore. So though I've been kind of anti-sweep teams so far in this video, I can't pass up Baltimore for plus money. You know what I mean? So give me them on the money line. In terms of the total here, I'll lean towards the over as well. It's not like I'm going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass saying Dean Kramer should shut down the Texas Rangers. I don't believe that either. But when I see plus money next to a team that their offense is just getting back to what it was, and we've seen it happen, I can't necessarily ignor that. Andrew Heaney, 105 plate appearances against current guys on this team as well. They've seen him plenty. Slugging here of 520. Woba of 360. Should be a decent spot for the Baltimore offense. I will say, in 63 plate appearances against, Dean Kramer really hasn't pitched well to this Rangers roster. But they just don't have the same offense that they had last year or in years past. similar guys, some guys aren't hitting. So if you're going offense for offense, I'll take Baltimore all day long. All right, Colorado's pulled out 2 straight here against San Francisco. Logan Webb went 6 innings pitched. He did allow, I think he allowed all 4 runs that they scored yesterday. So my theory was Logan Webb's going to have a good day. He did not. Today could be a little bit different, though. Jordan Hicks on the mound. He's been getting beaten up, but he's going against Austin Gomber, who, again, is one of those guys that I say is 1 pitch away from flipping burgers. So, to me, and also, I don't even know if it's actually Jordan Hicks on the mound. It could be, I feel like I've seen, the hell's the kid's name? Hayden Birdsong, right? So it could be him. I'll have to confirm the pitcher, or will be, because either way, I'm not exactly thrilled with this one. I think we have rain in Colorado, so if anything, I might just lean under and say, you know what? We're not necessarily fading the altitude, but we're going to fade the altitude in, this weather. So give me the under in this spot. In terms of money line play, sure. You want the plus money. You want Colorado to sweep. Let's go. We'll bet that side in terms of, or we'll take that side in terms of a lean. But it doesn't really matter if it's Birdsong or Hicks on the mound for me. I just don't really like the series. But today with the weather and that total still way up there, I actually could convince myself of an under. So we'll see. All right, we got the A's taking on the Angels again. Not to go back-to-back in series that I just don't really like or anything like that, but there could be an A's bet today. I said it yesterday. Wanted to do it, just didn't really get there. But they've won 13-3. 8-2. Like, they're clearly the better team here in this spot. Pitching-wise, they have Joey Estes on the mound, who is by far and away a better pitcher at home, going against Carson Fulmer, who I believe this is either a second or third start, right? Relief guy. He's pitched like 30 times this year, but only one. I think it's one start. I think this is his second start. So I don't really want to trust him. And then you have the Angels bats that are just falling off a cliff here. So I'll lean towards the A's. But is this like, now do we miss it? Like, I've thought about betting it 2 games in a row type of thing. And then all of a sudden we get here and it's like, now we pull it in game 3. And then that's when the Angels go out there and wreck them. I could see that happening. So I don't know if we want to, play with temptations here, but almost want to bet the A's here in this spot. What I do like is the under. I don't care if these pitchers aren't that great. These offenses aren't either, and though the Athletics are looking good and stuff like that, to me, this is a pitcher they haven't seen before. He's pitching out of the bullpen usually, so haven't seen before as a starter, and he's got a decent pitch mix. I don't think the A's continue this offense, but again, just like I said with Brandon Pfaadt, or tried to, I say I don't think they have a decent day. Flash forward, 13 runs on the board, that type of thing. So I'll lean towards the A's as well as the under, but I could see a path to getting to the Angels and the over, because it's a wild card type of a series, All right, we got Brian Woo on the mound for Seattle going up against Ronel Blanco here. Seattle has lost the first 2 games here at home against their divisional rival. 3-0 in game number 1, 4-2 in game number 2 here. Brian Woo's been good at home. Ronel Blanco's been good this season. Obviously, he has some really, really good starts that do skew his season-long numbers, but even still, he's reeled it right back in and kept it going in his last few starts here. Woo had one of his worst starts of the series against the Angels, the team that we just talked about their offense falling off, but prior to that was pitching well. Like, he pitched 3 1/3 with 4 earned runs, and still, with that included, in his last 5 games here, a 1.6 ERA. So this is a spot in which I look at this game and I go immediately to the Nerfy. Trust both batters, trust both pitchers against these batters. Though the Astros offense has shown up, they haven't shown up, you know what I mean? So I like both the Nerfy as well as the first 5 under in this spot. In terms of who I think wins, I think I'm going to look at the Mariners here at home due to one simple fact. Woo's pitching okay, right? And this is a divisional game in which I just can't see Houston sweeping them. So again, I'm putting so much weight into sweeps, it seems, in this video. Comment sweep if you made it this far into the video. Not my pick sweep, because that might jinx it. Sweep, just sweep. But overall, I mean, I'm looking at this saying, you know what, I can't see Houston just sweeping them, especially the way that they've been playing. Like, they're not putting up 6-7 runs. Like, that's where the Mariners can't compete because their offense stinks, right? But if they're going to go 4-3, like, one of these days, the Mariners are going to be able to put up 4-3, that type of thing. So, Mariners money line, I like the under, but I definitely like the Nerfy and the first 5 under more than that 7.5. All right, Dodgers, Red Sox. Paxton pitching against his old team here, going up against, I want to say, who's on the mound for the Red Sox? I just saw it 2 seconds ago. I wanted to say I saw Cutter Crawford, right? Yeah. So if it's Crawford on the mound, I like this spot for the Red Sox. So obviously, you're going to continue to get good pricing for them. They almost won yesterday. Almost doesn't count in sports betting, obviously, but they take it to extras, or Dodgers take it to extras, and end up scoring 3 in extras. Red Sox scored 2, so good for them. But James Paxton here is the real reason why I would be betting the Red Sox. He had a good start in his last start, but a good start for him was 4 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. You know what I mean? Like, he just has not had it. And Cutter Crawford, on the other hand, should be able to control this LA team. I just hope that the Boston lineup against lefties can kind of spark back into it. They obviously looked okay yesterday and whatnot, so hopefully that's the case here. But to me, it's going to come down to can the Red Sox score runs or whatnot. So I'm going to lean towards the Red Sox as well as their team total over, ditching whatever the Dodgers do to Crawford. I just think that the Red Sox can get to Paxton no matter what. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did. I can't even speak today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, that's what I just tried to say in like 2 seconds. Hopefully you guys, if you did enjoy, doesn't even make sense. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.